Hey folks, Inclusive Mall Designs here, and this is an inbox review of the Tamiya 1350 scale Dkm Tirpitz. Now, for those that don't know too much about Tirpitz, it was actually the sister ship of Bismarck. And sadly, it was kind of forgotten, but Tirpitz herself was actually bigger than Bismarck. Not so much, I guess, in length and such, but actually had more guns and bells and whistles and such. But it was never really released on the ocean to wreak havoc, just because of what happened to Bismarck there. But so sadly, it was kind of like the forgotten sister there that was just kind of left and beaten into submission there by bombers. But had she really been released on the ocean, it could have really done some damage. But so sadly, it was kind of forgotten to history just because of Bismarck really kind of taking the glory, I guess you can say, of the battle with Hood and such. But for those who are watching this and really know Tirpitz and stuff and really enjoy battleships, you kind of know what I'm talking about here. So let's just get into the review of this kit and see what we're looking at. So if you've built the Bismarck, it's pretty much the same kind of thing, but you are getting a few extra parts and such. So the instructions are pretty much the same. As far you do get a bit of history, obviously. It does talk about Bismarck a little bit and such, but obviously you're talking more on the lines of the Tirpitz and such. Like you're getting more guns, as anti-aircraft guns on the turret, as where Bismarck didn't have that, right? Like on the box art there, obviously Bismarck didn't have guns there, it didn't have guns there. So you are getting a few little things there. So the instructions will vary a little bit more. So pretty basic instructions. You just want to pay a little more attention to it and such. So I'm not going to bore you with instructions, but it does build into a really nice ship. And obviously the paint schemes, you can obviously go through your history books and such and find out what paint schemes you want, because it did change quite a bit as far as seasons go. So you can decide what paint scheme you want to go with. This one here is actually quite elaborate, and it's kind of pretty actually. So, but you can decide what you want to go with as far as paint schemes go. And for decals and such, this isn't really a decal, it's more of like the paper flag. I do have some aftermarket stuff, so you want to stay tuned for my aftermarket special with regards to this model here. You want to stay tuned for that, so just put those aside. So in no particular order, you get some parts here. I'm not quite sure what these parts are, but as we build this model, we'll figure out where these go. That actually might be like a bridge part. Those look like the fake windows or whatever. But like Tamiya kits, nice and crisp. Nice model parts there. Most portholes I usually just drill out. I have a nice bit that I drill out. Even the square ones there, most times I just drill them out and then just make them nice and square. Just give some more depth to your model. As long as it doesn't impede like the parts. Sometimes other parts where they glue, you can't really drill them out. Other than that, I usually just fill them with some gloss paint. But like portholes, as long as there's not a part on the other side that impedes it, I usually just drill them out. And like radar parts, things like this. As long as you have a photo etched part, I usually omit these parts right here. If you watch my reveal video of Bismarck, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Because with photo etched parts and stuff, with this radar and stuff, you get to see right through it. So usually parts like that I don't bother putting on with the plastic. But if you don't have the photo etched, then those will do just fine. So those are fairly nice. And then of course the display stand. I'm not even going to open that. See, with the new model kits like the Yamato and Missouri, if you follow those builds as well, the new display stands with the screws and stuff, those are really nice. I like those. If anyone from Tamiya are watching my videos, if you can come out with just like a display stand kit where you can actually just use those would be great. Because these older display stands I'm not really too big of a fan of. I would love to use the new display stands on the older kits. so long as you haven't built the kit yet, obviously. And there's some more parts right there. This looks like some of the tower. This part here looks like it's right around there. So if you've built the Bismarck before, it's going to be pretty similar for the most part. I mean, there's going to be a few changes, obviously. And that's obviously for the props there. There's one of the turrets. The rudder. Just for the lifeboats that sit on. So that's probably right around that area there. The hangar. Ships are a lot of fun. I really enjoy building the ships. So far, so good with the parts. I'm not seeing too much any issues actually. Like I said, if you haven't seen my review video on Bismarck, please go check that out. It turned out really well. I was already too far along in the build to do any build videos, but I will do build videos on this ship. And there's your AA guns. There's the turret there with the AA installed. That's where Bismarck did not have that. And that'll be fun once this one's built, is to do the comparison between Tirpitz and Bismarck. And there's the catapult for the airplanes, and that's where the photo etch comes into play too. And when you exchange those parts out, that's where the detail really, the comparisons between the kit detail and the PE parts really come into play. Now, how did the Tirpitz and Bismarck sail together? Wow. It's very nice on the detail. Other videos I showed how to do the blast bags. Now, I don't know, like this here doesn't show any blast bags on this here. So with this one here, I might not do any blast bags, just to make this model look a lot more different than the Bismarck. And here's the plastic barrels, is where the aftermarket kits I have the metal barrels. Just because with the plastic ones, they're not, they don't have it like they're solid. I like where they're nicely, they drilled through. Again, right after this video here, you'll see, just look for the aftermarket special. There's the Arado. Now I believe you get 2 of these sprues. Maybe a carbon copy, which is right here. You get the crane. The ship's boats can be challenging to do. They usually take a lot of time just because there's so much detail that go onto them. This one here too, this is a carbon copy of one of the other sprues. It's mostly guns and whatnot. And these two, if you've watched my video, I usually put thread around this right here just to simulate the lines instead of just putting black paint. I usually just wrap around lines and then glue them on. Or thread, sorry, just to simulate the lines. Adds more realism. Then we're getting into the decks. With the chain and stuff like that. With my Bismarck model, I just completely covered this completely over, added my chain, and then redid this whole piece here. But once we start building this, I'll show you how I do it. This is solid. One thing with Tamiya, one thing I wish they've done, and I should explain this when I did my Bismarck reveal, is I actually added my own portholes to the side. I should explain that in the other video, but once we start building this, if you go back to my Bismarck reveal, you'll notice that I've actually added some portholes. Not many, but a few to the side, just to add more life to the model. And that's one thing I wish Tamiya would have done with their kit, is added some portholes. But I'll do that with this. I'll just add some. But this is a nice solid piece. But that's very easy to do. You just gotta make sure you line them up so they you know, line up nicely. You don't want to have one here and then have another one, you know, off center, and then it looks silly. But adding some portholes to this piece, you know, definitely adds to your model, something more to look at. This is a nice solid piece. So again, if you built Bismarck, then this is going to seem very familiar, but as we start building it, then you're going to start noticing the differences right away. I mean, again, even on the box art, you notice it right away. You start going, huh, this, I mean, not just with the paint job, obviously, but you start looking at it and go, oh yeah, that doesn't look familiar. Oh, that doesn't look familiar. And then you start noticing the differences in the shape right away. And then, of course, the last piece itself is the hull. So, nice solid piece of hull. A little bit of sanding to do right there just to get that seam line gone. That usually doesn't take too much effort. It looks like she's able to go into the water right there. If you're one of those modelers that like to get it all set up to go into the water, but you have that option. And that pretty much covers it for the for what you get in the box there, guys. So if you are interested in this kit, that's what you get in the kit. And so there's quite a bit of plastic in there. Again, if you've built the Bismarck, you know, it's pretty much the same, I would say, because I've built the Bismarck. But you are getting a few more pieces anyway, because you are doing the Tirpitz. So, you know, don't overlook this kit. You know, the Tirpitz is, you know, a beautiful ship too. So, especially if you like the Bismarck, you know, consider the Tirpitz as well. So stand by for the aftermarket special, because I do have, you know, a bunch of goodies to go along with the Tirpitz as well, as far as aftermarket kits go. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe as always. And I look forward to your comments on this one. And this will be a fun build to do as well. So thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.